listening to the Betmaker Show. This is the College Bowl preview for Monday, January 2nd, 2020. And now, live from Las Vegas, the host of the Betmaker Show, Brian Blessing.
All right, folks, it's the home stretch of college bowl season. Brian Blessing and Bruce Marshall. We're in Las Vegas, and we've got some action on a Thursday. We're going to dive in with the Birmingham Bowl. Legion Field, Birmingham, Alabama, with BC and Cincinnati. Bruce, I mean, kind of the calm after the big day. Football's football. I will say this, the Rose Bowl lived up to the hype. That was fun.
Yeah, that one really lived up to it in the New Year's games, and that was really a good one. The other one's not quite as much, but not bad. But they've kind of compacted these the bowl games in a little bit tighter window this year. They didn't start till a little bit later, so they're going to be starting and finishing a little bit more. Then we have that long wait till the championship game a week from Monday. But no, the Rose Bowl was good. And let's hope we got a few more through Monday, so hopefully we have some more good ones before we get to the big one on the 13th.
All right, for that Birmingham Bowl, we're looking at 51 degrees and rain, not much wind, so that should not be a real big issue. We're looking at Cincinnati 7.5, total on the game 53.5, 54. BC's a different team, Bruce. It used to be a plotty run to stop the run team. Not the case anymore. A much better offense in the last couple of years. And Cincy's track record in bowls is not too good.
No, it isn't. And you wonder how Cincy's going to react. There's a lot of different moving pieces on both sides here. But Cincy, listen, I've been to Birmingham, I've been to Legion Field, and sitting 51 degrees in rain outside there doesn't sound too thrilling. I guess the conditions could be worse, but that's not going to be enough to get a lot of Cincy fans down there, I don't think, nor BC. So it'll be pretty empty there. In Legion Field later today, and this Cincy side thought it was going to be the New Year's Six. It thought it had, the Cotton Bowl in its sights, and it was. And then losing those last two games to Memphis changed the plan. So how they're going to react, we will see. But bigger questions on the BC side, they've changed coaches since the end of the regular season. Now, Steve Adazio's left. He's already taken the Colorado State job, and they've hired Jeff Hafley from Ohio State, defensive assistant there. He won't take over until after the game, but the promoted wide receiver coach, Richard Gunnell, coaches on an interim basis for this game, but also player-wise, A.J. Dillon, who is their fulcrum of their offense. Big running back, sledgehammer, is sitting this one out for the NFL. So they're without their best running back, or without their coaching staff. They've had to change quarterbacks due to injury during the year. Grosel didn't play all that bad when he took over for Anthony Brown, but it's not going to be the same offense without Dillon. I think Cincinnati, Desmond Ridder, their quarterback, is healthier. That should be enough to get Cincy over the hump here. If the Bearcats show up, and you bring up a point, they haven't been playing great in bowls in recent years, but I think there's fewer distractions on the Cincy side, and if that means something, it should benefit Cincy. 34-20 Bearcats, our score forecast in Birmingham later today.
All right, Bruce, let's go to the Gator Bowl in Jacksonville, Tennessee and Indiana. And we're seeing a little game day money here on the Hoosiers, down to 2.5 in some places. There are 3 still out there. Total on the game, let's call 53.5, 54 the consensus. The bottom line here, Tennessee's fared pretty well against the Big Ten over the years.
Yeah, it has, and but we're seeing the Big Ten is putting up some pretty good fights here. I mean, Wisconsin ended up losing that game, but looked pretty good yesterday. Minnesota looked very good in its game against Auburn. So even in some losing efforts, the Big Ten has played fairly well, with the exception being Illinois. But Indiana, I think, is not in that Illinois bowl. They're a cut above that. And this is one of the best Indiana teams we've seen in a long time. They're looking for their 9th win. That would match the most in school history. Not since John Ponch's 1967 Rose Bowl team as an Indiana side won 9 games, and it'll take them 13 games to get there this year, but nobody's going to care in Indiana and Bloomington if they do it. Tom Allen, the head coach, has done a nice job here, coming close to bowl eligibility last year, but missing out. They got there early enough this year, even though they had to switch quarterbacks, although in essence, it was quarterbacks 1A and 1B. Michael Penix, a redshirt freshman, stepped in, won the job early in the season over the returnee Peyton Ramsey, and was playing pretty well till he got hurt. Ramsey then came back in, but like I said, this is a guy who had been in there before. And he responded with several big games and ended up throwing for almost 2,300 yards, 371 in the game against Penn State, 3 TDs in the final against Purdue that got Indiana to its 8th win this year. Stevie Scott, their top running back, he didn't finish the season due to injury. They're hoping he's available here, but they've got other weapons there, including Wap Philyor, one of our favorite all-name receivers who put up some pretty big numbers. So anyway, this is a pretty good offense. Now, Tennessee will test them, and the Volunteers played very well down the stretch and really solidified things for Jeremy Pruitt, whose hire I wasn't sure about last year. Defense played well. The offense, though, a little bit choppy. Gorentano, the quarterback, in and out of the lineup this season. He finished the season in the saddle there. I just thought if it comes down to offense here, Indiana might have a slight edge. And this still could be a pretty good Gator Bowl here on Thursday night. 28-23 Hoosiers, our score forecast there. So a little bit tight on the side and the total, but we did think there was a little bit of an edge for Indiana in this one.
Betmaker, let's make some money tonight.
For outstanding information and special offerings and promotions, we invite you and encourage you to sign up for our newsletter today simply by going to the website at betmaker.com. All right, on Friday, we've got the Idaho Potato Bowl. This is the blue turf in Boise, and Ohio is an 8-point favorite. Total in the game is 58.5. The one thing, Bruce, the MAC over the years have really struggled in bowls, but not the case with Solich and Ohio. They're a different animal.
Yeah, it has not applied to Solich, especially the last couple of years. They won and covered the last 2 bowls, not just winning, but thrashing UAB and San Diego State by a combined 68-6. So they have showed up, and this year the MAC hasn't done quite as bad in bowls anyway. So it's been a little bit better for the MAC anyway this season. Now here's Solich coming in, looking to make it 3 bowl wins in a row. A little bit disappointing this year for Ohio. They thought they'd be better. They were a consensus pick to win the MAC East heading into the season, especially with their dual threat quarterback Nathan Rourke returning after accounting for a whopping 38 touchdowns a year ago. This offense scored 40 points per game last season. All their numbers were slightly off this year on offense. It still wasn't too bad. And on the eye test, this team looks like it should have ended up finishing better than 6-6, and it needed to win its last 2 games against Bowling Green and Akron to get there. Well, they won those games really big, so they didn't have to worry about that. But most of their losses were pretty close this season, including some point spread setbacks. But the eye test, they didn't look all that bad. They've got running backs. They still gain well over 5 yards per carry running the ball. Rourke is still a dangerous dual threat. They do some things well. I've been watching Nevada all year, Brian. I'm not sure what they really do well, except manage to squeeze out wins in close games, which is not the worst quality to have. But this offense really didn't do anything all that well. Jay Norvell squeezed 7 wins out of a team when he was rotating quarterbacks for much of the season. It was the redshirt freshman Carson Strong took most of the snaps. Nothing remarkable for him. This version of the spread doesn't run the ball very much. They rank 116th in rushing, and this is a team that used to be a top 10 rushing team for many years when Chris Ault was there. No home run threats among the receivers. Their place kicker, Brandon Talton, the freshman, is probably their best threat. He won that game against Purdue in the opener, got the scholarship afterward. He'd been good, but it's not remarkable on offense. And the D played roadkill in a variety of beatings. You know, they're minus 129 in scoring margin for a 7-5 team. You know, you look at that and say, what's going on? It's sort of like a football version of the 1960 Pittsburgh Pirates against the Yankees in that World Series, and they outscored more than 2-1, but won the World Series. But they did win most of their games against teams they should have, and they're 5-1 straight up in games decided by 7 or fewer. Thus, the key for Ohio is don't play a close game here, and I don't think they will. I think Ohio's going to move ahead here and cruise away. They've just got more going for them offensively than Nevada, which I think is just a very average team that won a lot of close games. Good for them, but not on Friday. 38-24, Ohio will take for all the potatoes in Boise, and we'll go with the Bobcats from the MAC to win another one.
Let's go to the Armed Forces Bowl in Fort Worth, Tulane and Southern Miss. We look at this number, Bruce. Tulane's a solid 7. Total on the game is 56.5. You know, the Conference USA actually has had their moments in bowl games.
Yeah, and not too bad. They've been winning some, and I think Southern Miss is going to show up here and perform pretty well against Tulane in this one. Tulane did not close the season strong, so here we go into Fort Worth, losing 5 of their last 6. I mean, this team was sitting 5-1 at one point. I think Willie Fritz actually did a pretty good job, has done a good job stabilizing this program. He's gotten the bowls 2 years in a row. I mean, he's a winner. He won at Sam Houston. He won at Georgia Southern. Now he's back with Tulane here in Texas, where he used to coach with Sam Houston. But I don't know about laying this many points against the Southern Miss side that is pretty capable, especially their quarterback Jack Abraham, who last year was one of the top completion percentage guys in the country. This year, not too far off the lead again, almost 68% completion, so over 3,300 yards, 33 touchdown passes. He did throw a few too many picks, and he really tries to thread the needle sometimes a bit too much. But he's got some weapons in Watkins and Harris. They're a couple of big play receivers. They've got some pretty decent balance offensively, but they're usually pretty close. And I don't know that Tulane coming in here losing 5 of its last 6. And some of those in tough fashion, how they're going to be set up here today to extend this margin on a team that I think is not going to roll over for them because it's got some offense. They used to play a lot when these teams were in Conference USA, and before that, in fact, they're only 113 miles apart, so it's a little bit of a rivalry here renewed after taking a few years off. 28-27 Tulane. We think the Greenies win this one. Maybe not by that margin, though. Southern Miss looks like a pretty interesting underdog to us.
All right, we move on. We'll wrap it up with the LendingTree Bowl in Mobile, Alabama. And we're looking at Louisiana Lafayette, a 14-point favorite. Total on the game, 55.5, 56. This is a Louisiana Lafayette team, Bruce. When they're up to snuff, it's an offense that can go nuts. 6 times this year they had 500 yards or more.
Yeah, they've got an offense. They've got a real blistering running game here, and I think they should be, although Mobile on January 6th might not be too thrilling sounding, I think they're happy to be here because last year's bowl game, which they played in Orlando at that Cure Bowl, did not look good against Tulane last year. So this is a chance to redeem. And also for that slow start in the Sun Belt title game against App State when they were down 21-0 before you could blink, and they came back not quite enough, but they're looking to end the season on a pretty high note. Like you said, they put up a lot of yards rushing the football this year. Billy Napier, 2 for 2 in bowls as the head coach. We heard he was on the radar of some SEC teams. Had Joe Moorhead left Mississippi State, like a lot of people thought he might take one of those jobs in the Northeast, we had heard Napier was going to be high on Mississippi State's list. I know he was on Ole Miss's list, too. They ended up going the Lane Kiffin direction. But we see the track record with this guy. He looks like he knows what he's doing. He's going to get a bigger job than this at some point. I don't know that Miami O was all that good this year. I know it won the MAC. I saw this team struggle, with Akron, which was pretty hard to do. And did come up big in that game against Central Michigan, but maybe Central Michigan wasn't all that great. We saw the chips in the bowl game. Gabbert, the quarterback, I think is at a disadvantage here. I'd rather have Lewis on the Lafayette side and all those running backs for the Raging Cajuns. I think they win this one handily. 41-20. We're taking Louisiana Lafayette. This is one MAC team. I think the old MAC Bowl problems resurface with Miami, Ohio here, and it's a much better Louisiana Lafayette side in Mobile next Monday.
All right, short and sweet today, Bruce. Next week, we'll dive into Clemson, LSU. We're seeing LSU 5.5, 70s the total. We'll dive into player props and really start breaking that game down next week. But on paper, the 2 best teams got there, so we're looking forward to that.
Yeah, I'm glad. We'll take the Tigers. You can't lose that way, and they're both the Tigers, so we'll figure out which Tigers we like. Yeah.
There you go. He's Bruce Marshall, the legendary publication, The Gold Sheet. I'm Brian Blessing. There's your look at the home stretch in bowl season.
Betmaker, let's make some money tonight.
Well, that's the Betmaker Show for now. We publish multiple times each week. We'd like to thank you for listening, and if you liked what you heard, please take a moment to leave a rating and review, or subscribe to our show feed, or share our show with a friend or two and help us grow the show. We very much appreciate it. Visit us on the web at betmaker.com, and reminder to sign up for the newsletter. Thanks to our engineer, Darren Vandermolen, and producer, Mike Gallivan. The Betmaker Show is a production of Cardinal Marketing Incorporated. Betmaker is a registered trademark. Any rebroadcast, reproduction, or other use of this content without the express written consent of Cardinal Marketing Incorporated is strictly prohibited.
The handicapping and sports odds information contained on this podcast is for entertainment purposes only. Please confirm the wagering regulations in your jurisdiction, as they vary from state to state, province to province, and country to country. Using this information to contravene any law or statute is prohibited. The podcast is not associated with, nor is it endorsed by any professional or collegiate league, association, or team. This podcast does not target and is not intended for an audience under the age of 18. If you think that you have a gambling addiction, stop this podcast now and please seek help.
Gambling and betting on sports is a form of entertainment and should be about having a good time. But when done excessively, it may negatively affect other areas of a person's life, such as their physical and mental health, school or work performance, finances, and/or interpersonal relationships. At Betmaker.com and the Betmaker Show, we're concerned about the addiction that gambling may cause, and for this reason, we encourage everyone to practice responsible gambling, an approach to gambling that helps you ensure that it remains an enjoyable activity. Here are the main principles of responsible gambling. Don't think of gambling as a way to make money. Always gamble with money that you can afford to lose. Set limits and stick to them. Never chase losses. Don't gamble when you're depressed or upset, and create a healthy balance. Always be aware of how much time you spend gambling or thinking about gambling. And do not allow gambling to cause you to miss out on time with family and friends or time spent on other activities you enjoy. By following these guidelines, gambling can be a good time and great entertainment. If you feel at any time that your gambling is taking away from important areas of your life, is causing you stress or depression, or is leading to financial losses that are beyond your control, please reach out for help. Learn more at responsiblegambling.org.